just stick up your hands. I have a funny feeling I've stolen the Q&A microphone. Right here?
Yeah, I love this way this conversation is developing, this idea of a multi-stranded narrative, because exactly, it was a profoundly moving study of matriarchy, wasn't it? That took place in the family, that took place over the cooking pot, that took place in the domestic environs of marriage, and yet, as you say, played out on this much wider national scale. I guess the kind of tragedy of the film, or the sadness that we take away with this as viewers, is the seeming impossibility of translating that kind of matriarchal view to a political stage. And we saw the very lovable brother, who nevertheless makes these comments about status quo and the sort of the power of the conservative, if you like. Joanna, do you feel, you've talked provocatively about how the film is going out and working in these sort of grassroots ways in communities and so on. Do you feel that change can be brought about politically by women's behaviour changing the very way we go about and make political conversations? Because that seemed to be a big thing that came out of the film. You set that question for us.
Well, I think when you look at some of the issues like maternal mortality in Nigeria that's so high, it's just not on the radar of a lot of the men who are in the political roles and in the legislative positions to allocate resources towards that and to take the time that it takes to come up with a really broad and deep strategy to address it on so many different levels. And so I think with an issue like that, which Hafsat is working towards in Ogun State, I think I have seen the way in which she works, which is to try to bring all the different sectors together, to not look at it as a health issue, to not look at it only as a psychological issue, to not look at it as an issue of tradition and practice, to not look at it as a religious issue, to not look at it only as a gendered issue, but to look at it from all those different perspectives and to bring as many different perspectives into a room at the same time and try to deconstruct what each of those parties is facing in opposition to dealing with this issue of the high levels of women dying, giving birth. So, so that to me was one example, just watching her in action with the colleagues that she works with. But I do think the question of if women are leading, how things might change is an important one. One thing is that in the public sphere in Nigeria, it's not considered acceptable for a lot of women to go to voice a grievance or to voice a policy issue to a male politician, unchaperoned, or those conversations are not sanctioned in a lot of parts of Nigeria. So the absolute need to have a woman in a position of power that another woman can go and voice those views and concerns to is vital, because otherwise women are being structurally silenced by the culture and by the impossibility of being able to participate in the democracy at that level. So I think it's a lot of complicated questions that you're raising. I'm just, touching on them in a very, perfunctory way, but it's a lot of important questions.